Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ohio State at the Voice of College Football. I'm your host, Garrison Gaddy, every Thursday here at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for the Ohio State Call-In Show. Clean Mike should be joining us pretty later here in the show, hopefully. Uh, if you haven't already, everybody, please go ahead and like, share, subscribe to the channel if you like the content. Also, check out our website at www.bocfb.com. You can see all the latest writings from our awesome writers that we have there here at the network that go on and keep you up to date with what's going on the college football landscape. Also, the calling link is in the chat right now. So if you would like to call in, please go ahead and do so. Make sure to ask any questions you have, any comments you may have. I'll definitely pick in there and talk about them. Of course, this is your guys' show, not mine today. First off, shout out to Agent Posh, Doreen. Always glad that you're here. Glad I was able to catch you in mini this past Sunday, everybody. If you guys don't know, if you already haven't watched, check out Doreen and Minnie every Sunday at 9 p.m. for the ladies of college football here at the Voice of College Football. They do an awesome job there. Love seeing the work that they do. They have fun conversations about around the sport. Shout out to Corey Banks, man. We got a Wolverine in here. Corey Banks, I see him as a rival of some sort. He always likes to talk crap, but he's always a good talk too. But yeah, everyone, be sure to try and call in if you like. Any comments you may have about Ohio State or anything else going in college football, we're going to pick off from that. If you have any questions, please go ahead and drop them in the chat. Also, I put a question there asking, what is your favorite Ohio State win over Penn State? For me personally, I would definitely say the comeback that 2016 against when our all grays, the JT Barrett game. I'll tell you what, that game, I was scared. I was afraid, man. What was that, 2018? Yeah. And I thought that we were definitely going to lose. Thought there was no way coming back in there. And then out of nowhere, I mean out of nowhere, JT Barrett lights it up in the second half, specifically in the fourth quarter. Our defense turns it on. And mind you, the defense wasn't all that awesome that year. So for them to do that time was great. But yeah, go ahead, everybody. Let me know, what is your favorite Ohio State game versus the Nittany Lions of Penn State. And while we're waiting for everybody, just remember, put your comments or questions in the chat. If you'd like to call in, the calling link is in the chat also. I wanted to bring this to you guys, an article over from MikeFarrellSports.com. I wanted to read this with you guys, of course, with everything that's going on around college football, with how a lot of coaches are being cut much earlier than we're used to seeing. It looks as though Penn State, they do have their eyes on our young OC, longtime Buckeye player, Brian Hartline. Now, this here, at first when I heard this, I thought there was definitely no legs to it. Aaron, shout out to you also, man. Happy Friday Eve, Buckeye fam. Linda Jackson, hello, Linda. How are you? Good to see you. We're always happy to see you whenever you're able to make it. I thought this had no legs, and of course, as a Buckeye fan, you would hope so. But it looks as though it actually does. It looks as though the Nittany Lions, along with other choices they may have, are looking at poaching our now offensive coordinator for their head coaching position. So I'm going to go ahead and share this with you guys. If we can read this together. I think it's a great article here from Mark P. I couldn't really pronounce his name, and I don't really want to try to because I might butcher it. But let me share this with you all, and we will start from the top. And by the way, any comments you may have about this article, go ahead and put them in there, and I'll read them after. But I think this is one of the most interesting news that we're getting right now, and for our Buckeye Nation. Of course, honestly, in all reality, again, shout out to our guy Chris Drew here. He's talked about there being Ohio State fatigue, which honestly can be seen right now across the college football landscape, and how people are talking about the Ohio State Buckeyes compared to other teams. But again, this right here from Mark Pajnik, The time is nearing for Brian Hartline to become a head coach. So it starts off reading. Everyone at Ohio State has known that offensive coordinator Brian Hartline wasn't going to be in Columbus for the long haul, and that isn't because he isn't good at his job. It's because he is too good at his job. But his departure may come sooner than many expected, as suddenly his name has become a hot topic due to the abundant open head coaching jobs that already exist. And again, we already talked about that. Yeah, a lot going on in college football. But there's one specific job opening that is most intriguing: Penn State. The Nittany Lions have recently branched out their search process, which has brought them to Heartline. There are many things to like about the young coordinator, but is he ready to make the leap? Heartline will turn 39 on November 22nd. Happy birthday, early birthday to you, Brian Heartline. An Ohio native, he was a wide receiver at Ohio State, where he finished with 90 receptions for 1,429 yards and 12 touchdowns. A fourth-round NFL draft pick by Miami. A lot of people forget that he was a really good NFL player. In 2009, Hartline enjoyed a 7-year career with the Dolphins and then the Cleveland Browns. Overall, he totaled 344 receptions for 4,766 yards and 14 touchdowns in the NFL. You can see that nice sleeve he has. His coaching career began in 2017 as a graduate assistant with the Buckeyes. Since then, it has been a steady and quick upward movement. By the way, I see you in there. We'll bring you up here shortly for the call-in show. Just going to finish this. He was a little bit of this, but he was a wide receivers coach in 2018 and offensive coordinator in 2023. Hartline has led a successful and dynamic offense as a coordinator, but has gained even more attention for his recruiting success. And I think right there, for the Nittany Lions, that's one of the biggest reasons why you want to bring him in. You look at over the last few years what has been the difference for Penn State compared to Ohio State. It's not that the Nittany Lions aren't getting talent, but James Franklin always talking about going from good to great and from great to elite. And to do that, you need the talent, you need the upward talent, you need the great elite talent all together. And I think that when you make the risk like the Nittany Lions have made to get rid of James Franklin, who for all the slack he gets, right, or the flack he gets, he is he's tied second in all-time wins in Penn State history. He took over that job when it wasn't an easy time. And he's been pretty good. And actually not pretty good. He's been really good. That's a fact. And I think that when you get rid of a guy like him, boy, you better make sure that the guy you get after him is better. You have to, because what you're essentially doing, you're taking the Nebraska route. You're taking the Nebraska route where. Fun story for everybody. While I was in high school, that's when Nebraska had Bo Pelini. And my dad wasn't the biggest fan of Bo Pelini. Thought he was kind of a hothead. Thought he was a jerk. That's actually what he called him. He said Bo Pelini was a jerk. And when they fired him, I told my dad, I guarantee you this program isn't to see 9 wins for a very long time. And I mean probably close to 10 years. Lo and behold, that has happened. If you're Penn State, you're taking that chance. And so I think the cool thing not the cool thing, but when you look at them going after, possibly going after Brian Hartline, you think to yourself, well, if you're going to take that big leap already, right? If you're going to take that jump, that very risky jump in firing one of your best head coaches in your program's history, why not take the full leap? And make a complete change, go the younger route. Tomorrow I have Landon coming on here tomorrow, dropping some content for you guys. For you guys, be a quick 15-20 minute video. And we're just gonna be talking about Ohio State and Penn State, some of the numbers, what he's seeing on film, and the Brian Hartline situation. Now, on the other end, it is hard for me to believe that Brian Hartline would take this job in the middle, at least publicly taking this job in the middle of a back-to-back run for Ohio State, in the middle of his first true year being an offensive coordinator and a chance to put something on tape for himself. But clearly, I mean, if people are willing to hire you without the long history of you being an offensive coordinator after a short 1 year, then I can understand that. I mean, listen, man, Penn State's one of the 10 best jobs in college football. And if you get handed that job, it's hard to turn it down, especially if you're a guy like Brian Hartline. And mind you, not too long ago, Brian Hartline in an interview, he says, being an offensive coordinator, even a head coach, has been on my mind. But as you know, with new information, a smart person will alter their perception or change their mind. And so I guess, if he's done that, then I understand it. Now, for Ohio State, what does that mean? I see a couple, some people will go out there, they say, well, Ohio State's, it'll hurt Ohio State's recruiting at the wide receiver position. Well, Brian Hartline has done great in the development of wide receiver and also recruiting on an elite level on a consistent basis. But now let's not get this here twisted. Ohio State has gotten receivers before Brian Hartline, will continue to do so after. I mean, you can go back to Michael Jenkins. Then you got guys like Chris Gamble, who played corner also. You got guys like Ted Ginn Jr. You talk about guys like Santonio Holmes. You're talking about the DeVere Posies. Michael Thomas's. Ohio State's gonna get receivers one way or the other. Jam, great point right here. Good example. Zach had great receivers. That's a fact. But a lot of people like, did he develop him? Yes. Chris Olave was a Zach Smith recruit. So, and he's someone who knows talent. He's someone that knew the position. And so, do I think Brian Hartline is going to take this job publicly right now? No. But I would assume that Penn State wants to get this handled now. But I would also think that, say, if Brian Hartline was to take this job, I think at the behest of him, they would take the slow roll on announcing it until the season is over. And on top of that, I think it'll be a very tight circle that would know about it. A very tight circle. Because I just couldn't see why you would want to put that in jeopardy. So, yeah, man, it was tough for Ohio State, but it's not something that I'm too worried about. Nothing that I think Ohio State fans should be worried about. At the end of the day, the guys are going to do what they do. This is big time college football. And you guys make adjustments. It's going to happen. Guys are going to leave. Guys are going to join the program. So it is what it is. Of course, you don't want to lose a guy like Brian Hartline, who's so entrenched into the Buckeye Nation and Buckeye culture. But look, man, at the end of the day, it is what it is. As of right now, he is he's the offensive coordinator of the Ohio State Buckeyes. He's the wide receiver coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes, and as of right now, that's all that matters until proven otherwise. But before we continue, everybody, quick message here from Mark Rogers and the voice of college football.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the voice of college football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click Join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
All right, before we continue and bring in some of our callers, shout out to our friend of the show, our brother of the show, Don B says, Yo, G Money, what's going on, man? And yes, by popular demand, yes, Jam, I turned my hat around. You see this, the Renaissance tour the World Tour. I went to that some years back. It was actually a fun time. But yeah, man, always good to see you and my boy. So, yeah, Don, you missed last night. Garrison, you Sands picture. I missed your slams. Oh hell yeah! Hey, look, Jam. I'm leaving those right now. I'm on full Julian Sandheisen propaganda mode. That's what season I'm in right now. If you're against it, Jam, you're against Ohio State. I'm putting this back on you. If you're against my Julian Sand propaganda, you're against Ohio State. Oh man, I love Jam. So again, everybody, if you didn't see already, answer the question in the chat. What is your favorite Ohio State win over Penn State? Adrian Pastorine says 2021 when we were allowed to we were allowed to storm the field. Wait, Doreen, did you storm the field? That's why I really need to know. Did you storm the field? Because if you did, I need video. I need video proof of that because that'd be awesome. Shout out to Aaron. He says the 2022 at PSU, the JTT game. That man, I'm gonna tell you what. That game was so crazy because that's when I think we all got to see just how really good he is. Like it was honestly one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I think it was the second most dominant game from a defensive player that I have seen in college. It's the second best since Ndamukong Suh versus Texas in the Big 12 championship game. I think that's the last one. That's probably the only one I would say was better than JTT's game. I hate this, Jim. I'm putting my hat back forward or backwards. I hate that. But yeah, that game was insane, Aaron. That game was completely insane. What was it? A pass deflection for an interception, 2 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown, 3 sacks, fumble force, and a fumble recovery. That game was insane. Aaron also asked, who do you think would transfer out? Garrison, he also asked, do you think we would lose recruits? If he transferred out, I don't think anybody would. At the end of the day, I mean, you're at Ohio State to beat Ohio State. Now, could someone do that? Yeah. Like an interesting thing, I was talking to Landon, and I posted this under his video about O'Brien Hartline. But I said, let me get this straight. Basically, let me get this straight here. What they're trying to do for Penn State is Brian Hartline at head coach, Tyler Bowen at offensive coordinator, Billy Fessler at wide receiver coach. That would be crazy. That would break my heart. But no, I don't think so. But you never know, man. It's a different day and age in football. And then Don B says, I don't think he is ready to be a head coach. Maybe not. Maybe not. I also didn't think Ryan Day was, but he hasn't done as much as Ryan Day has done in his career so far. But I didn't think so about Ryan Day either, man. I did not. But again, everybody, if you haven't already, please go ahead and like the video. If you would like to contribute in other ways, hit that join button, become a member. There you can see what our tiers are, being the Blocko Club. JT wasn't short, and we don't give a damn, and you know the rest. Also, super chats are always invited, like our man Don B saying here. But let's get on with the show, everybody. Let's bring up our first caller here. My guy, Thunder Redmond. Man, how you doing, brother? How you doing? Oh, I can't hear you. You there, Tim?
Yes,
There we go. There you go. How you doing, man?
good. My thing is, he was the, he has a degree at Ohio, Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
So why would he coach for a rival school? I do know. I do know that their biggest rival is my team, but their second biggest rival is Penn State. But I felt I felt like a player that's currently playing at Ohio State, but let's say that all of all the fans, and let's say in the future, if they wanted to be a coach, they probably telling the players that you can coach at the school that you used to play for, and other schools, but but as soon as they find out you coaching for a uh, a rival team, they going to act. They going to they not gonna they you see it different with Jim knows that
Mhm.
even though that Jim knows that a bunch of Ohio State fans at first they got mad because they felt like, oh, he's the reason that your defense was playing had went to the national title game and brought it home, but because he wasn't a former player, but they got over it. Since Hartline is a former player, and he take the Penn State
Wait, wait, oh, Tim, wait, Tim, you're wrong.
job.
Wait, Tim, hold, wait. My brother. And actually, one second before I say something real quick. Speaking of hate, shout out to Don B for the 199. He says like the video and hate the hat. Like the video and yeah, you can hate my hat. It's okay, but let's talk about hate for a second. You, Tim, no one in Ohio State, whether it be at least in the fan base, is over Jim Knowles leaving us. You get because we didn't like at the moment in time we didn't want Jim to leave. We were securing him. He's a Buckeye. And a lot of people thought that there's a lot of people going around saying that the Ohio State job as a DC was lateral to the Penn State job. Bull. You left Ohio State for more money and because you wanted more credit. For us, Tim, you went over there to basically beat us. You knew we were on the schedule next season. You knew that.
Hmm.
And then Tim, he left at the time when all the coaching was basically over with.
Yeah.
So like Brian Hartline, if he left, we wouldn't be mad at him. If Brian Hartline took the Penn State job, I wouldn't be upset with him. Um, but Jim Knowles, it's not about him leaving, Tim. It's about everything he did on the way out,
Yeah.
and because he opened his mouth
Yeah.
too much. So no, screw Jim Knowles.
I thought that it would be worse because he also a former student and a former player.
Yeah, and no, it wouldn't be worse because we I don't know. I don't think that we'd be mad about. Like now, I'll ask everybody in the chat if Brian Hartline were to leave for Penn State for a head coach position, would you guys be upset with him? Me personally, I just wouldn't, Tim, because I know for a fact, or I won't say I know. I'm very confident that Brian Hartline would leave his alma mater in the best way possible. Whereas, over the last few years, we've had guys like Tony Alford. We've had guys like Jim Knowles, one of be Benedict Arnolds. Their upcomings will come soon. Started with Jim Knowles, and then
I
we'll
still
move on to Tony, and then we'll
I
move on to
still
Tony Alford in Ann Arbor.
I still come across some Buckeye fans on Twitter, and they still mad that Tony Alford his run game is successful right now. They mad that he's still there. They mad that he still left. Tony Alford.
Since Tony Alford got to Michigan, I'm sorry, the team up north, he's a 7 loss coach in two
Yeah,
years. That's why in a year and a half.
yeah.
Like Tony Alford's cool. Listen, I like Tony Alford's cool, man. I listen, I mean, look, he went from Notre Dame to Ohio State to you guys. It's clear that he likes big jobs. He doesn't like to stay places too long. Listen. We have Coach Locke, and I like him much better. I like my running back coach to look like a running back, and that's no shot at Tony. But hey, listen, it's
You heard the Big Ten lockdown show? They had a show today, and they read some reports that they trying to get Urban Meyer to come out of retirement
Urban Meyer's never coming out of retirement.
because there was some talks that he had an interview with one of the board members at Penn State.
I think the only way Urban Meyer will come out of retirement is if
Right.
Ryan Day went to the NFL and Ohio State called him themselves. That's the
Yeah.
only job. I think that's the only job he would take.
So what will make Ohio's let's say that Ryan Day that he become a successful coach at the NFL. Would he be Ohio State the first Ohio State the head coach to be successful in the NFL?
Do I think Ryan Day would be successful in the NFL?
No, but he be the first Ohio State the head coach to ever do that because
Yeah,
we all know a few Ohio State coaches before Ryan they tried to be successful in college and NFL, but they were successful in college, but they failed in the NFL. So I'm wondering if he was able to do what the other coaches couldn't do. Will he be the first one to do it in years?
I think Ryan Day could be successful in the NFL.
Uh,
Most guys that go to the NFL that have success from college have really good offensive schemes or offensive coaches, offensive minded guys. I think
why
he's one of
didn't it work for Urban Meyer and Jim
because
Tressel and
Urban's
Nick
not an NFL guy.
Saban? Huh?
Well, and Nick Saban, it didn't work for him because when he was at Miami, he wanted to get Drew Brees, and the Miami medical staff wouldn't clear him, and the
Yeah,
team sucked after that.
yeah.
Babe, all right, man. Well, any last thoughts before I get to our next caller?
Okay, we see you in November.
Hey, man, we'll see you in November. Have a good night, Tim.
Yeah, I'm rocking the Bryce jersey.
Yeah, man. Hold on. I don't know why are you wearing toilet paper. Um, no, I love Tim, man. Always good to have you on here, my boy. Before we get to our next caller, real quick from Don B, who would throw them the ball? Oh, over at Penn State. Well, Penn State. We're gonna see him this Saturday. Ethan Gronkmeyer, redshirt freshman quarterback from Ohio, but he's at Penn State. He's got some talent. He was a top 10 recruit out of top 10 quarterback recruit out of high school. High 4-star kid, got some size, about 6'3", 6'4". He's got some potential. We're gonna get to see him early. He's he's a little raw, but that's who will be throwing to them if they were to transfer over there. Aaron says, now, how do you feel if a Heartline pulled a nose 2.0 Garrison and Ellen left my ass off? I'm not even gonna think about that, Aaron. That would crush me. That would crush all of us if he left us like that. Boy, that would be that would be probably a 2-hour show. 2-hour show. Like the first hour would be like grieving and crying, and the second half would be actually talking through it. That's how that would be. And then Agent Pastorine says, I'm one of the few who's not mad at no. To be fair, Paul is a friend. And I'll tell you what, Doreen, a lot of people give Paula grief. I like Paula. We follow each other, actually. And that's why, but I think that I try, for me personally, I try, and listen, man, she's going to go to bat for her family. And she should do that. She should. I've always said, you never embarrass your family in front of company. You do it in private. But for me, it's just, oh man, just like the things that Knowles has said. And again, I respect him as a coach. It's just the way he left was just so aggravating to me. And it's no shade against Paula. Like again, I have no problem with Paula. And I think she gets way too much grief from the Ohio State fan base or a section of them. I wouldn't like, yeah. So I understand that, Doreen. And I love Doreen. That's why I love you, because you'll back your people. You always will. You're never wrong. I'll put it that way. I don't think you're. I don't think you. I've never seen you being wrong. But yeah, Doreen, exactly. He's Owen Tangi. That's exactly where he's from. And so yeah, that's who we're gonna be seeing. I'm actually really excited to see what that kid brings. Get to see him go against the vaunted Ohio State Buckeyes and the Fighting Matt Patricias. Next, let's bring on our friend from Buckeye Battle Cry Show with Pete. Rob, my boy, how are you, my guy? Having a good day? Having a good week, actually.
Yeah, week, man. My wife and I were heading up to Columbus this Saturday to see the Ohio State Buckeyes take on the Penn State Nittany Lions.
Yeah,
And what I will
tell me
what
about
I
this.
yeah, what I will say, Garrison, is it's been a long time coming. I've been bookmarking this game ever since all that drama was started with Jim Knowles spiting the players, the team in general, the coaches just not showing up to the national championship celebration, ghosting the
Mhm.
players. Then the narratives turn that, oh, Ohio State didn't invite them. Oh, you know, Larry Johnson,
Right.
Ryan Day treated Jim Knowles bad, and just that's not true. It turned out that he was actually in talks with Penn State even before the national championship game. So he was pretty. That's a shame too. He was pretty much checked out before they hoisted that trophy. At least wait to hoist the trophy, man. What are your thoughts?
All right. So I'll give you my full spiel here. I'll make it short.
All right.
Jim Knowles, I respect him as a coach and everything he did for our program. At a time when we're looking for a new defensive coordinator, he was the hottest one out there. We got him. It was a 3-year progression, but the defense finally got to being number one in the country. He was great. He was great for us. But where I start to, as a fan, it just optically, right? It doesn't look good to me when it comes out that you are trying to negotiate your contract during the middle of a playoff while we're trying to bring a championship to Ohio State. So basically, it means that you're putting yourself ahead of the team. And no one is bigger than this Ohio State program. And it's not just like the athletic department that'll tell you that. The school president would tell you that. The institution would tell you that. You go down the road and you go to McDonald's or you go to church, they'll tell you that. And so then you say everything like you brought up, Rob. You say some of those things that you were saying. Players come out and they're not directly saying anything about you, but when they keep talking about how interactive Coach Patricia is and how much they love him being around and how much different it is around. And I was talking to Mike yesterday. I asked him, I say, like Rob, how many times during, whether it be on photos, videos, have you seen during the games? How many times have you seen Matt Patricia hugging a player?
Quite a lot this season. And let
Do
me
you
tell
have a
you,
memory of Jim Knowles doing that?
no, but getting to that, I remember there's this one clip where it was after the Texas game, and he was come down from the press box, and
Mhm.
it was just this weird interaction between him and the players. It's like they have like a business only relationship, just kind of someone you work with, you see in the hallways, passing by during a break, not much interaction, not a real genuine relationship like Matt Patricia has with the current players. So I mean, you're spot on with him not really being this quote unquote a player's coach. Just like I think we were talking about this the last time. I think it was a linebacker who said, I've talked with Matt Patricia more in a week than
It
Jim
was Peyton
Knowles.
Pierce.
Yeah,
Peyton Pierce.
Peyton Pierce said he talked with Matt Patricia more within a week or two, and
Yeah.
then Jim Knowles the entire time he was here. Now, I am thankful for what Jim Knowles did,
Yes.
but just what made me so mad about this is just this narrative that was pretty much pissing on Ohio State, just the name, the coaches, and just everything, just all the the drama on social media. I mean, his sister's tweets were phenomenal, and I would love for them to be brought up, especially after this game. But it was just like all these false narratives, man, just put a really bad taste in my mouth. I can imagine the players as well. And even Devin Sanchez booked Mark November 1st. There was a
Yeah.
tweet that announced Jim Knowles as the Penn State defense coordinator, and Devin Sanchez retweets it and puts November 1st, pretty much bookmarking it. And I've had that game bookmarked too, man. Just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I think a lot of Buckeyes have. And, if you're Devin Sanchez, I mean, think about it. I mean, you're a kid. You came to come play for Coach not Tony Alford, but Coach Walton, right?
Yeah.
But you're also essentially coming there to play for the head coach Ryan Day and the defensive coordinator, and then he's gone. And I don't know if you heard this, but like I said earlier in the show, for a lot of people, they acted like going from Ohio State to Penn State was a lateral job, and it's not. And now you got paid more, so it's either you wanted more money. I'm speculating, but it's either you wanted more money or you wanted more respect. I'm not sure what it was, because the truth of the matter is, yeah, listen, we got Matt Patricia. I'm happy. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
But during that time, I would have had no problem if you told me Jim Knowles is going to be our DC for the next few years after the championship. And it's because I'll give you a good comparison, and one you can understand us both being Michigan more Buckeyes. Mark D'Antonio left after the national championship, but we never hated Matt, not Matt Patricia, but Mark D'Antonio. I love Mark D'Antonio, and because I love what he did for Michigan State, and I love how he took it. While we were beating up on him, he was doing the same against the Wolverines. But so that was just beautiful to watch. Yeah. But so it's just, I think it's just different scenarios, man. And when you leave the way you do, I mean, Tony Alford the same way. I've got, it ain't just about beating Penn State the same way, it ain't about just beating the Wolverines. There's just other things in there that I want to accomplish, and one of those is dropping 40, at least 30 on Jim Knowles, at least 30.
Yeah, I mean that I have Ohio State winning, like I think 30-14. I called that. But also, I don't looking at it now, I don't think it's about the money. I think it's about Ryan Day going into Jim Knowles' office and telling him to fix it, tearing him a new one, especially after that Oregon game. And then the Nebraska game didn't look much better. And then, you look at the Michigan game, like 0 sacks, almost 0 pressures. And, from what I don't know if you heard the same thing or just read on social media that Laurinaitis, Gary had a big hand in what the defense looked like during the playoffs, and OG Walt as well. So just like
they gave Matt Guerrieri a lot of credit at the on the podium at the in Columbus Stadium. Ryan, he gave Guerrieri a lot of praise.
Yeah, he called him one of the brightest minds in college football today. Mm-hmm. And just like, okay, Jim, you get to run. It's obvious that's his defense being ran, the one that he ran before the playoffs at Ohio State. Hey, you know what? You get to run your defense. You get the keys. No one's going to tell you what to do, especially James Franklin's not going to tell him what to do, but James Franklin's gone now. And it's just like, I mean, good for him, man. He wants the respect, but there's a lot of fans, Penn State fans, we're hearing from saying, "You were right, Buckeye fans. We we were wrong."
Right. And I'll tell you what, like something, for one of the things that we kept telling Penn State fans that, man, listen, your defense isn't going to be lights out the first year. It's just not going to. There's a lot of things you got to learn about it. I mean, outside the fact you don't have Ohio State talent, but when Jim Knowles comes into the room, he's going to shake shit up. He's going to move everything around. He's going to change it all. Whereas you look at a guy like Matt Patricia, when he came in, he said, "My job is not to come here and change everything that's going on." He says, We're running this base defense. We're running what they've been running." But it's crazy that while watching him run the same defense, it looks so different.
Yeah.
And like they're doing different. They're putting other formations out there. Like we run the bear formation a bit more now. But I'm watching the nickel more. But I'm watching. Dime more. But I'm watching this front seven, man, and this defense as a whole. It's not. And the thing is, there isn't more talent on the D line, but the D line is doing just as good, if not better.
I mean, they're currently 9th in rush defense, so I'd say they're up there definitely from where they were at the beginning of the season. They're a lot.
And I don't know if I'm wrong here, and I have no idea if I'm wrong here, but I would assume, I think rightly assume, Hayden Curry has more sacks than Jack and JTT to this point.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, let me put it this way. Remember in 2022 when Jack Sawyer was playing the jack position?
Mm-hmm.
He had the most sacks on the team at 5. That is
pedestrian. He's tied at first in the Big Ten at 7.
Yeah, and we're like halfway, pretty much a little bit over halfway the season. So if you look at it, man, it's hard to because we had a lot of pushback from Michigan fans saying we don't give Jim Knowles enough credit. Jim Knowles was responsible for the defensive turn. Like, it's the same defense he's running at Penn State than it was before. Ryan Day went his office and chewed him out and told him to fix it.
Exactly.
Pretty much the same defense. There's nothing you could say. Facts don't care about how you're feeling about Ohio State right now. The facts are out there. And just from like what we've watched, it's the same thing. And, I made this prediction at the beginning of the season. I said Penn State fans are going to be driven absolutely nuts by their lack of production at the edge position that they're used to in previous years with, Micah Parsons and Chop Robinson and Abdul Carter. And, Dennis Sutton was supposed to be the next big one, but oh my gosh, we're under year 1 of Jim Knowles' defense where he wants his edges to stay home and keep everything in front of him. So they're suffering right now.
Shoot, man. Real quick before we continue, man. Of course, Rob, you always you can stay up here, my friend. I love talking football with you. Quick message, everybody, from the voice of college football. Get your business, product, service, or personal brands to the next level by partnering with the voice of college football. The voice of college football is a growing network with a large following, so let's find out how we can help you. Check out the experience of one of our current partners, that being Win Agency, posted here on the screen. And just like them, we're here to deliver for you. Contact us at vocfb.com. Again, that is sponsorships at vocfb.com today. Hey, Rob.
Yeah, go on.
I want to show you this.
Yeah.
This is and actually not just, you want to show everybody in the chat. If you're watching this after the fact, go ahead and if you're seeing this, go ahead and let it rip in the comments. This is probably the craziest stat you're going to see all season. When I saw it, I was amazed because I thought to myself, there's no way this could be true. And then I thought about it, and it definitely is. Did you see that chart on DPIs this season on how many defensive pass interferences the team receives from the other side, from the opponents?
No, I've never seen that.
So for everybody in here, including you, Rob, I want you to look at this. Now tell me. Or here's defensive pass interference, offensive frequency, and magnitude. I'm zooming in here. Over at 0%. There you have it.
Is that
Ohio State hasn't had a single defensive pass interference called against our wide receivers this season.
man? That means Igbenogson really cleaned it up, dude.
No.
Oh, wait, you said offense. I'm sorry, offensive.
So
Gotcha.
like defensive players, we like are like we for like in our favor.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy, man.
Like nobody's been, and of course we've seen guys hold and pass interfere against our wide receivers. It happens on a weekly. We all know that.
Yeah,
But like that right there, that stat, I couldn't believe it when I saw. Why do you think that is?
Oh man. I mean, it could be that. I mean, when you have a wide receiver like Jeremiah Smith, he's a really physical receiver. You know, he plays a lot with his hands to get separation from the cornerbacks. And for that instance, I could see the referees just letting them play it out. But I mean, there have been some calls where Ohio State just got absolutely hosed. But I mean, that's what I could see, man. I mean, they are calling out for JJ because it's just like, again, JJ is a really physical receiver, and you know, I could just again letting them play it out. What do you think?
I think it's complete and utter bullshit. There's no like. It's because in that Texas game, there's plenty of ones I can point out. Last against Wisconsin, there's ones I could point out. I honestly couldn't tell you why. Now, granted, the Big Ten has never called DPI, defensive pass interference. It never has in my lifetime. It has not been a conference that does that. A lot of that has to do with the fact that we don't pass a lot until currently. But I think that's one side of it. But with that being said, some of it's so blatant, man. It's so blatant. And I'm gonna be very quick when I say this. And you know, I told, I think it was Juju. I said I don't ever want to hear another Wolverine fan talk about all the holding calls that they don't get on their defensive ends, because that right there, that you're telling me that Cardinal Tate and Jeremiah Smith have not forced a warranted flag this season.
They're too great and dangerous to not get some pass interference calls on them. So, but yeah, that is actually crazy. You know what it reminds me of? All the times like when Jack Sawyer was held or JTT was held and absolutely nothing was called. I think it was last season. I think Ohio State had the least holding calls going in their favor with when they were on defense. So I mean, that's another example. But dude, like, I don't know, man. I'm seeing more games where and this is just like any conference. I know it's nonsense. I know there should be more calls, but I'm seeing more where they're just letting them play, man. They're not throwing these flags that are like game deciding. They're not, being too technical with, pass interference. Cause like from what I've seen, if the wide receiver and the cornerback are getting physical with each other and one's trying to stay in coverage, the other's trying to get separation, 9 times out of 10, they have not called that. Now, when it's blatant that the cornerback got beat, and I've seen tugs on the jersey right here, and trying to be smart, okay, we'll get the 15 to prevent a touchdown, then yeah, they throw the flag. So, but I've seen a lot of physicality between wide receivers and cornerbacks this year. I don't know if you've seen the same things, but there have been calls that have been suspect, and it's just like one of those that they need to be called. But I do think it's crazy that Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, as good as they are, as shifty and as being able to get separation from the cornerbacks and having them beat a good amount of time, have not drew any defensive pass interference flags. Like that's insane, man. I'm glad you showed me that, because I would have had no idea where
Yeah.
I've never seen that
Mike says
before.
you being too nice for the rest. No, but yeah, it's a crazy stat. Like when I saw it, it amazed me because I was just like, there's just no way that could be true. And then like when I just thought about, put some brain matter into it, I was like, yeah, well, yeah, they haven't. I like not from my memory. Not I think I have a steel trap. I believe sometimes. Yeah, we definitely have not forced a DPI or a defensive holding call this season. What was your score? I wasn't able to join you guys yesterday on the Big Ten team rivalry show. And shout out to everybody over there. What was the score you had to this game?
Of Ohio State, Penn State? I had Ohio State winning 30-14.
You said 38-14?
30-14.
30-14. Okay, so you're being
Yeah.
closer than most do.
Yeah. 30-14. I think it's gonna be close heading into the the third, and then of course they're Ohio State's gonna get their separation. But at the same time, dude, this could get really, I'm not gonna lie, this could get really ugly.
Really,
Especially
Shaba Ranks?
What'd you say?
Shaba Ranks. He's ugly.
Oh yeah, definitely. If Jim Knowles does not get any pressure on Julian Sane or throws any blitz packages, it's game over, man. Because in that Oregon game, 0 sacks, 0 pressures. Dante Moore completely tore apart that secondary, and this would be the same thing, man. Like, Julian Sane is way too good to just let him stand back there and find guys like Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate, and Max Claire's trying to get involved more, and I hope to see Mylan Graham more, getting a more fair rotation with.
Hey man, that was cool to see him
Graham.
get in the game, make that snag, get the toe in. I was like, oh man, he's so ready. He's so ready.
And then you got Quincy Porter doing the same thing, man. It's like, dude, we got
getting up the field. Yeah.
I mean, we're spoiled, man. I'm not gonna lie, we're spoiled when it comes to the wide receiver room. But if they don't get
one
pressure,
second, Rob. 1 second. It's not too small for my head. I just have it strapped this tight because that's how I like to wear my hats.
but they don't get pressure on him, man. It's gonna be a long day. Then you have Terry Smith saying we have to outrush Ohio State, and
that's not gonna do it for you, buddy.
And then
gonna do it for you.
I think it was like one of the other coaches, this offensive line will block their asses off for Katron Allen. Now, I will say that they got it right that Katron Allen is getting a pretty much a good run of the snaps now. I mean, I saw that from last season. I'm like, why is Nick Singleton on the field more than Katron Allen? Katron Allen is more shifty, he's more explosive, he's more of a complete back than Nick Singleton. He can catch passes out of the backfield, and he gets more yards per carry. I don't know if you agree with me, but
no, Nick Singleton, he's one of the more disappointing players in college football that I think is not getting talked about enough. Going into this season, I was in a space on X, formerly known as Twitter, and I said in there that we're talking about Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. I said Nick Singleton is much better than Katron Allen. Katron Allen is not a special running back by any means. I was telling people I think I can name 10 running backs better than Katron Allen. And then you got Nick Singleton coming in this year averaging 3.6 yards a carry. That right there, I could have never seen coming because he's such a big play running back. Like I call him like he's like a Timu Saquon Barkley. So like it's amazing to me that how going into his senior season he's basically regressed. He basically has. And it's not as though he's been taking like 20 to 25 carries per game in the last few seasons. He's had Keyshawn Allen to take some of that load off. And maybe I'm wrong here, but Keyshawn Allen probably has just as many carries or more than he does in their careers at Penn State. And they've both been there since their freshman season. They came at the same time. So, yeah, that and I mean, just to add on to this, I mean, talking about the run game, talk about the run defense about Penn State. They give 150 rush yards a game.
Yeah, that's
bad.
You know what I
now,
think? Sorry.
Go ahead, Rob.
You know what I think is going to happen? Remember in 2022 against Michigan when Jim Knowles was really arrogant about Michigan's passing offense and he just played cover zero. He prepped for their run game and they just got torn apart in the secondary. I think there's a chance where Jim Knowles is really prepping for Julian Sain, Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith, and they're just going to overlook the run game because right now that's like one of the big question marks on this offense. But I look at the chances with the run game. You know, you mentioned that 150 yards per game. There's a chance where Jim Knowles gets arrogant about Ohio State's run game. I could honestly see that happening.
He could possibly do that, and it would be in his nature to do so. Not sending guys, having the defensive ends play contain. I think that would be stupid of him. I think there are a lot of reasons because, you know, as much as I think that James Peoples and CJ Downs has been playing bad. I mean, outside of Bo, all the running backs have been basically 5 yards per carry or better. But I think for guys like Isaiah West, for guys like Bo Jackson, who I think are the two best running backs on the team right now, at least in terms of running the ball, those two run violent. And if you're going to play contain, I think the worst thing, like the last thing you want to do is go against violent running backs. And though their secondary has been bad this year, I don't think you want to leave your guys in situations where Julian Sands, like, he has time to think. Like, I mean, you got to remember, the Ohio State offensive line already isn't going to let you sack him. They are not going to let you sack him. And Julian's not going to put the ball in harm's way.
No, he's not.
So, and if you know that and you're Jim Knowles, I mean, you can blitz from time to time, try to get Julian off his game. At the same time, if Ohio State allows, man, listen, if Brian Day finds out you're blitzing, he's just going to tell Brian Hartline, hey, we're running drag routes. And Ryan Day will happily do that all game. So I'm very curious on how Jim Knowles is going to coach this.
So pretty much a 2018 versus Michigan when, you know, Don Brown brought the house, and pretty much 2019 the same thing. All right, man.
Right.
Hopefully he does, man. Hopefully he does make those mistakes. But dude, like I'm telling you, man, if he does the same game plan that he did against Oregon this season, pretty much almost the same as last season, Julian Sain's gonna eat, man. And you know what? I'm all aboard that. You know, Julian Sain for Heisman propaganda, dude.
Oh yeah, it's all day, baby.
I'm definitely
24/7. It's 24/7, all damn day.
I mean,
matter of fact, hold up. Wait a second. I don't have it on here, do I? Let me see. Do I have it uploaded on here? Dang, I don't. The Julian Sand face. I don't have it. But no, and I mean, when you look at the history, you know, when Jim Knowles has gone against offenses like Oregon last year, we think about the 2022 Georgia game, the 2022 Wolverine game. He has a propensity to let big plays happen. It really, and for Ohio State right now, whether you're in the run game, you want to get like 20-yard runs, this will be the game to do it. If you want to keep the pass game going and capitalize off last week, I'm not sitting here saying you got to let Julian go throw the ball 40 times. We know good and damn well he can if we really need him to. But I want this to be a balanced game. But I want both sides. I want both aspects of our offense being the run game and pass game, being explosive, going out there doing good things, being strong. But when it's time to when we need to get some big yards, we go and get that. I mean, we've heard Ryan Day say plenty of times he's trying to score every play, and whether he's passing the ball 50 yards down the field or whether he's running the ball up the middle, he's trying to score every play. So I think it's just for him, it's about, turning those short plays to big gains, those big gains into touchdowns.
Yeah.
But hey, Rob, before we end, man, any last thoughts about the show? Anything or on the game? Anything around college football?
Man, I'm really excited, dude. Again, dude, I've had this game bookmarked, man. This has been one on the calendar again ever since, just this false narrative around Ohio State that it was all their fault about Jim Knowles. He forced his hand, they were terrible to him, and he was solely responsible for the turn on the defense. It was all Ryan Day and Larry Johnson getting away this whole time, dude. And you know what, man? Ryan Day said what he said at the press conference, where we're thankful he brought us a national championship, but it's the other comments sound like there's no love lost at all.
No, there shouldn't be. There shouldn't be. I completely understand him. But hey, Rob, let everybody know where they can find you, bro, and then we'll get you out of here, and then I'll get out of here.
Definitely. You can find my co-host Peter and I on Buckeyes Battle Cry. Battle Cry is one word. We go live every Tuesday at 7 p.m., bringing you some of the boldest takes in college football.
All right, man. You have a good rest of your night in OH.
IO.
All right, everybody, that's it for tonight. Again, thank you for coming up here, showing up to the Ohio State call-in show here at Ohio State, the Voice of College Football. I'm your host, Garrison Gaddy, as always, OH. IO.